I'm really happy to be here tonight to introduce Allyssa. Much like Bren and my other colleagues, these are my favorite meetings of the year. You know, we get to celebrate the hard work of our graduate students. And honestly, there's few students who've worked harder and shown more courage in the program than Allyssa. It's perhaps beyond perfect that tonight is Friday the 13th. Because for the first year, Allyssa was something of a ghost to me. She wasn't in my classes, so I didn't really know her. I only heard whispers of her existence, her ethereal presence. I'd never actually seen her, but she haunted the halls of the Family and Food Sciences building. I'd hear the clickety-clacking of her roller bag, her signature laugh, but nobody was there. It was strange. But this all makes sense, of course, when you realize that Allyssa writes so passionately about ghosts, monsters, and horror movies. Thankfully, she has since become a cherished and less ghostly member of my classes. And whether it's Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, none of those fictional villains she writes about compared to the catalog of scary experiences she's encountered both online and in real life. Horror for her is not just a pop culture pastime, it is a way to reckon with her own life as a survivor and a storyteller. Horror movies become a way for Allyssa to tell her own story of trauma, to see it reflected in the narratives of both classic and contemporary examples in the genre. And she writes about these films with such obvious care and attention that we begin to understand something deeper about her own story and the way she expresses her love for the women in her life. Raised by a single mother who fought her own battles to survive, Allyssa grapples in her writing with a legacy of inherited trauma, while also trying to navigate her own existence as a young woman living in the world of online dating and relationships. It's a world where women are called friends, but so often treated as something different by men. She writes with courage and bravery, drawing parallels between her own life and the lives of these characters, leading us into the dark places with care and tenderness. Perhaps more than anything else, we see the way Allyssa puts her heart out there to find connection in real life, but also on the page with her reader. We see in her work the way a heart can be battered and still survive. I'm incredibly happy and proud to celebrate her work tonight. Please join me in welcoming the writer, Allyssa Shields.
Hi guys, thank you for showing up tonight. Whether you're celebrating Valentine's Eve or Friday the 13th, I'm happy you're here. So I'm going to be reading an excerpt from my longest essay in my thesis titled Internet Besties, and I do need to give some context. So this essay is about when I was 20, and I was friends with a 47-year-old man. Completely platonic on my end. I felt nothing towards him in any romantic sense, but his actions showed he didn't quite feel that same way. So there's that. And then there's another character, Marcus, who I did have romantic feelings towards. Both of these men I met online, and the guy, Jim, forgot to mention that, that's his name. And at this point, he had sent me a package, unprompted, completely, of goodies. And so, yeah, so without further ado, here I go. One night, he'd hit me with the random question of what my favorite flowers were. I told him red roses and mentioned how I had only ever gotten them when I had back surgery. He mentioned something about possibly getting me some, but I told him he didn't need to do that. The topic was pretty much dropped, and I had forgotten all about it. On the day I'd gotten my wisdom teeth pulled, mouth swollen and full of pain, my twin brother walked in my room with a vase of roses. "These were sent for you," he said. "Oh, really? From who?" "The card said Jim," he said. And I felt my heart stop for a moment. Even though I had told him not to send me roses, he still did. And to make matters worse, it lined up to be the same day my wisdom teeth were taken out. This looked bad, really bad, as though he was a boyfriend trying to cheer up a girlfriend. My mom, once again, didn't hold back her judgment. Alyssa, do you realize how this looks? Yes, I do, but I promise it's not like that. He's just a friend, and he doesn't see me like that. He just wanted to send me roses. But once again, internally, I knew friends didn't typically send friends roses out of the blue like that. I didn't want to voice how I felt about the messages he was sending through these gifts. I guess part of me felt as though I could handle the situation myself. I was an adult after all, and I should have been able to have platonic friendships with men without it being weird. In fact, I did have a few friends that were male that I felt no romantic feelings for. Jim was one of those people. And as much as I wanted to just maintain a normal friendship with Jim, he was making it harder and harder to do that. But just as I'd done before, I shrugged off the weird feeling and pushed on. Perhaps it was naivety or stupidity, but I really thought that if I didn't address how weird things were getting, it wouldn't get worse. I couldn't have been more wrong. There's a found footage horror film titled Megan is Missing from 2011. In it, the main character, Megan, is a naive teenage girl. The 14-year-old is a troubled girl and definitely the wild one compared to her best friend, Amy. One night, Megan is introduced to a guy named Josh. The two begin to talk, and Megan starts to develop a crush on him. The thing is, as an audience member, we can see the red flags. That's such good timing. We can see the red flags blinding us. First off, Josh can't show his face on video chat due to his camera being broken. He also claims to be shy and puts off introducing himself to Megan, despite being at the same party as her. The third one is something that a young teen probably wouldn't recognize. Josh clearly has the voice of an older man, not a teenage boy. Megan doesn't recognize any of the signs and instead agrees to meet Josh one night. She sneaks out of the house with only Amy knowing what she plans to do. That's the last time we see Megan alive again. The reason I can relate to Megan is because of her naivety. She is so quick to believe a complete stranger that she met on the internet. She took what he said at face value and agreed to meet him at night. The found footage form of this film shows us a story that many thought was real for a long time. It is devastating and extremely uncomfortable, but that's the point. The only people who really knew what was going on behind the scenes was the audience, and as much as we may try to scream at her through the screen, she can't hear us. In fact, you, dear reader, may also already want to scream at me for making such stupid decisions. I have to wonder if my mom and older sister felt like the audience watching Megan make the dumbest decisions, but not being able to dissuade her from doing them. With each passing day, it felt as though Jim was growing more clingy and needy to talk to me. He worked full-time at a grocery store, and I was a full-time student, yet he still wanted us to talk all day, every day. If I took too long to reply, I knew what to expect. Jim, question mark, question mark, question mark, me. Sorry, in class. I'll talk to you later. But his desperation to talk to me wasn't limited to texts or Facebook messages. He told me daily his desire to talk to me on the phone. I had a hard time talking on the phone due to phone anxiety, and Jim's pushiness didn't help me. I didn't want to hurt his feelings because I really was trying to make this friendship work. I found excuses as to why I couldn't talk on the phone. Being in class, eating, doing homework. Jim was not that easy to convince that phone calls were a no-no. He started a game called voicemail tag. He would call me at any time of day, leave a voicemail, and then I'd have to do the same. He was constantly finding new ways to communicate and more excuses to talk to me. Jim's behavior was exhausting me, physically and emotionally. It's like I wasn't allowed to breathe without Jim there to catch the air. But every time my mom or sister brought it up, I would persist that we were just friends. Nothing more, nothing less. because I was the type of person that felt heartbreak even when losing a friend. I have always felt deeply when it came to relationships in my life, whether they are platonic or romantic. I really wanted to make this friendship work, even if it was taking a toll on me. One day, he asked me for a selfie. And of course, I thought nothing of it. So I sent him a selfie of me, just smiling my typical closed mouth grin I was accustomed to at the time. Then he asked me for a very weird request. Jim, stick out your tongue and make a silly face like this. He showed an example of what he wanted. His mouth opened wide, tongue out, making what I can only think of as a weird knockoff version of Gene Simmons. And I thought, sure, if it will get him to stop bugging me for a selfie, I'll send it. So I sent my silly selfie, tongue out, and that was apparently what he was looking for. 20-year-old Allyssa didn't put much thought behind his interest in this selfie. Okay, he wanted a dumb selfie, so what? But now, 27-year-old Allyssa wonders if he looked at that picture for too long. If he thought of me with my tongue out, or if the thought of me with my tongue out excited him. Jim was complicating the friendship. Well, he had already complicated it a long time ago, but he just kept making it worse. He was very jealous of Marcus and was doing a horrible job of hiding it. Whenever I would bring Marcus up in conversations, Jim would change the subject or just stop messaging me for a while, then talk about something completely differently. One day, while talking about Marcus, Jim snapped. Jim, I don't get it, Allyssa. He's not good for you. He's nothing like you, doesn't have the same interests in music or anything. I like the same bands you do. I'm a good Christian man. I go to church every Sunday. I don't get it. As I sat on my bed, phone in hand, I felt my eyes grow as large as saucers as I stared at the screen. I could hear my heartbeat from how loud it was beating. Oh God. He had just confessed the one thing I knew deep down, but never wanted him to voice out loud. Sure, there had been signs, but now there was no denying it. Jim saw me more than just a friend, and I had to nip this in the bud now before it got worse. Me. Jim, I don't see you in that way. I see Marcus in that way. I have feelings for him. I only see you as a friend. Please don't complicate that. And to my surprise, he accepted the rejection well. He told me that we would just be friends, and I felt I could breathe a little easier when he said that. The topic of him being better than Marcus dissolved, and I never brought up this confession to my mom. I stupidly felt that I needed to protect him since I still saw him as a friend. I had rejected other friends before, when I was a teenager, and we were able to maintain a friendship. So surely I would have been able to have one with Jim too, right? He may have wanted more, but I'd shut that down. And in my silly, naive mind, that small rejection was enough to end his dreams of being together. I wouldn't have to worry about any more relationship gestures and complicated feelings. I could have Jim as a friend and meanwhile work on my growing feelings for Marcus and allow that relationship to blossom into something more. But once again, I was wrong. Because without any sort of warning or notice, I received yet another package from Jim. In it was an old hockey jersey of his. He was a big hockey fan, and this jersey was special to him. So I knew that him sending it to me, completely unprompted, was another message of his, that he was not giving up on the fight to win my heart. Me, hey, I got your package, thank you, but you really didn't have to do that. I thought we agreed on no more gifts unless it's for a birthday or Christmas. Jim, yeah, but I wanted to surprise you. I wanted you to have that jersey. Send me a pic of you in it, smiley face. I felt like putting it on sent a message to him that I really did not want him to receive. But I also knew that arguing with him would make him angry. I hated when he got angry because he would send message after message, annoying me until he got his way or until I found a way to change the subject. So I gave in and took a picture with the jersey on. There was no way I could rationalize this behavior. Sure, the jersey was warm and comfy, but it had belonged to him. He had worn it for who knows how long before he decided to send it to me. Me wearing it was almost like sending a message of potential hope for more than friendship. But even if he was delusional, I was still holding out for Marcus, and he and I both knew we had feelings for each other. I had told him all about Jim, just as I told him all about everything else in my life. We were each other's best friends, and I wanted to make sure the timing was right before I jumped into anything with him. But the longer I waited to make things official with Marcus, the longer Jim seemed to think he could win me over with his gifts. My mom was getting more worried by Jim's gestures. Allyssa, do you not see how weird this is? He sent you his hockey jersey, not a new one, the one that he wore. Why are you not freaking out about this? Mom, I know it looks weird, but seriously, he's just my friend and he was being nice. And now that I think back on it, I think my defense of him was more to help prevent myself from freaking out than it was to actually defend him. I really think I should just tell him to fuck off. He is acting like you're his girlfriend or something. This is getting weird, Allyssa. Mom, come on, he doesn't mean it like that, I promise. Lying to my mom's face when I knew how he was acting hurt me, and I hated it. But something inside of me was so conflicted. He was acting clingy, possessive, obsessive, yet I didn't want to end the friendship. I couldn't figure out why, at least not yet. The topic of him visiting me was brought up a few times. Each time I told him the same thing, that maybe after I got to know him a bit better, and my mom felt more comfortable with the idea of him coming to visit, we could talk about it. He took this as he needed to send a friend request to my mom and my older sister. Neither of them were interested in being his friend. Strangely enough, he never sent a friend request to my brother. But even without accepting the friend request, Jim was making his presence known on my social media. He made sure to like and comment on all of my posts. Whenever my sister and I would go live to help promote my mom's pearl business she was trying to do, he would pop up and comment in the live. He was trying his best to show my mom and sister, hey guys, I'm just a friend, nothing more, just a cool guy. Let me come and visit, we can all hang out. Neither one of them was buying his bullshit. One night, he mentioned how a friend of his lives in Sacramento. He mentioned how he could visit her, then drive to come see me. Jim, what would your mom do if I just showed up unannounced? Tell me to leave? LOL. Me. Yes, that's exactly what would happen. Please don't do that. She would be so mad. Jim, WTF, so what? I can't come see you because of your mom? Question mark, question mark, question mark. We're just friends. I don't see you any more than that. I'm a good guy and I think I've proved that. I've sent you gifts and sent you flowers when you got your wisdom teeth removed. Me. She doesn't know you that well, and she wouldn't feel comfortable having you come visit me. Maybe once she gets to know you, it won't be so bad, but right now it's a no. Jim, I bet she'd be fine with Marcus coming to visit. Me, well, I don't know, but I have known him a bit longer. Jim, this is bullshit. Me, okay, please stop. These are my mom's rules, not mine. It is her house, and I'm not going to go behind her back and disrespect her. If you want to visit me, you have to do it when she says it's okay. He calmed down a bit, but I knew this wasn't the end. His behavior was becoming increasingly nerve-wracking. I was starting to question this friendship. Well, more than I already had been on and off. He made it hard for me to want to talk to him with how jealous he was about Marcus. He almost made it hard due to how angry he was with my mom setting a firm boundary against him. And yet, I was still hesitant and honestly a bit afraid to block him. Thank you.